Someone flicks their hand up near your face, and you've already blinked, jerked back, thrown your hands up. Before you knew it was just a joke, before you'd consciously figured out what it even was. Think about how strange that is. You reacted to something before you'd identified it. Your body got you out of the way of a danger your mind hadn't named yet. So, who decided to move you? Here's the astonishing part up front. Your protective reaction, the blink, the recoil, can begin in just a few dozen milliseconds. But the part of your brain that actually recognizes what you're looking at, that says, "Oh, it's a hand," takes noticeably longer to catch up. So your body starts protecting you before you've consciously figured out what the threat even is. You're already moving to safety while the "what is it" is still loading. You didn't decide to flinch. Something moved you, then let your awareness arrive late. So how is that even possible? Here's a way to feel it for yourself. Try to make yourself flinch. Jab your own hand suddenly toward your face. It's surprisingly hard to trigger the same reaction. Your body just doesn't respond the way it would to a surprise. You know a close relative of this. It's very hard to tickle yourself, no matter how you try. There's a common thread. When a sensation is one you generated yourself, your brain tends to predict it. It sent the command, and it quietly turns the response down. When something comes from outside you, unpredicted, there's nothing to turn down. So the reflex fires first and figures out what it was afterward. That points at the real key. Your flinch isn't really about what the thing is. It's about what your brain couldn't predict. So what in your body can move that fast? Not your thinking mind. It's far too slow. Not even, on its own, the brain's famous fear center, the amygdala. The real speed comes from fast startle circuits down in your brainstem, ancient wiring that links an incoming, sudden, almost straight to your muscles, skipping the slow, thoughtful parts entirely. It's less a decision and more a doorbell wired to your muscles. Something rings it, and they contract. No thought required. So where does the amygdala come in? It's not the trigger, it's the volume knob. It sits over that reflex and turns it up or down depending on how safe you already feel. And you've lived this. Watch a horror movie alone in the dark, already tense, and the tiniest sound makes you leap out of your skin. Relaxed on a sunny afternoon, that exact same sound barely moves you. Same reflex, different setting on the dial. When you feel unsafe, your brain cranks the startle up so you flinch harder at smaller things, because in a dangerous place, overreacting is cheaper than missing something real. This is why anxious, on-edge people flinch more. Same reflex as everyone else, just turned up. Now, what happens when that dial gets stuck all the way up? Something genuinely strange, and it leads to one of the wildest stories in medicine. In the 1870s, in the logging camps around Moosehead Lake in Maine, doctors found a group of French-Canadian lumberjacks who startled like no one had ever seen. If you came up behind one of them and shouted, he didn't just jump. If you barked a command at the same instant, "Throw it! Hit!" he would obey it instantly, before he could stop himself, flinging whatever was in his hand or striking whoever was in front of him. Some would repeat words shouted at them helplessly like an echo. They became known as the jumping Frenchmen of Maine. And here's the part that still fascinates scientists. It wasn't just them. In Malaysia and Indonesia, there's a condition called latah. In Siberia, one called myriachit. Reported in widely separated cultures, and in each one echoes of the same eerie pattern. An extreme startle alongside automatic obedience and helpless repetition. And what causes it is genuinely unsettled. Researchers still debate how much is neurological, how much is a startle reflex gone into overdrive, and how much is shaped by learning and culture. That mystery is the fascinating part. Something that looks like the everyday flinch pushed to a strange extreme that no one has fully explained. And there's a mirror image of this at the opposite extreme. Some people are born with a condition called hyperreflexia, where the startle reflex is turned up so high that a small surprise doesn't make them jump. It can make them go stiff and even topple over rigid. It's a reminder that the gentle brakes on your own startle can't be taken for granted. You might be picturing so-called fainting goats about now, but those are actually something different, a muscle condition called myotonia congenita, not the human startle disorder. They just make a striking visual cousin. The real lesson is about your own everyday flinch. The fact that it's small, quick, and quickly over isn't an accident. Your brain is constantly holding it in check, letting through just enough to protect you and no more. So watch your flinch in slow motion. It's not random. It runs almost the same way every time. Your eyes snap shut first, then your head ducks, and your shoulders shoot up around your neck. Then your body curls forward. A fixed, protective pattern run in a fraction of a second, and it's so old that a cat, a horse, a mouse all crouch the same way. Which brings us to the tender part. If someone you love reaches out gently and you still flinch, that's just the surprise, an unpredicted touch, nothing more. But if you find yourself flinching a lot, even at soft, expected touch from people you trust, that can be a nervous system that's been on high alert too long. And that deserves kindness and sometimes someone to talk to. It's not weakness. It's a dial that got turned up and stayed there. So the next time a hand jumps up near your face and you've already ducked, you'll know. That wasn't you overreacting. That was ancient wiring protecting you first and explaining later, exactly as it's done for millions of years. Your body's oldest promise. I'll keep you safe now and let you catch up in a moment. Your body reacts to other people constantly before you ever decide to. This was just one. Subscribe and see you there, somebody.